Hi guys, Yaya here. I thought I'd read you a bedtime story tonight. When I was a little boy, there was one of my favourite stories was about another little boy. It was actually not a real little boy, he was actually made out of wood. It's quite a long story, but I've got in this book here, that I bought you years and years ago, they're 5-minute classic stories, and there's one about Pinocchio, and it's called A Real Boy. Okay, so I think I'm going to read this to you today and see if you like it. The sun was just beginning to rise over Pinocchio's little village. The moment he woke, Pinocchio leaped out of bed and ran to look at himself in the mirror. He laughed with joy when he saw his reflection. He hadn't been a dream. The blue fairy had made him into a real little boy. He wasn't a wooden little boy anymore. Pinocchio lost track of the minutes as he stared at his reflection. I might have stood there all day if I could, but then he could smell a scent coming from the kitchen. As he sniffed the air, Pinocchio felt the strange sensation. His mouth began to water. What's that? Is this what being hungry feels like? Pinocchio wondered. Pinocchio quickly put his clothes on and he ran to the kitchen. There he saw his father Geppetto cooking a huge breakfast. There was eggs and pancakes and bacon and sausage and oatmeal and orange juice and toast and milk and muffins and... Pinocchio stopped trying to name everything on the table because there was so much. Geppetto grinned when he saw Pinocchio. I wanted to cook you something special for your first birthday as a real little boy, but I couldn't decide what to make. So I made everything, he said. As you see on the picture, look, he's standing by the stove. He's got so much stuff on the kitchen table. The eggs and the sausages and the oatmeal. Pinocchio's tummy was rumbling as he looked at all the food. Well, come on, Geppetto said. Dig in. But Pinocchio sat down and he tried a bite of the eggs. It's fluffy, he said. His mouth full and soft and delicious. Pinocchio tried a little bit of the food Geppetto had made. Every bite tasted different from the last. You can see he's trying everything there. He's got pancakes and syrup, and look at all the fruit. It looks absolutely yummy, doesn't it? Milk and everything. Anyway, back to the story, hey? This is wonderful, Pinocchio said. Can we eat all day long? Oh no, Geppetto said. We're much too busy for that. I have to show you all around. Can we take some food with us? Said Pinocchio. That's an excellent idea, Geppetto said. We'll have a picnic. Geppetto packed a lunch and he and Pinocchio left to explore the village. Wow, you know Yaya loves a picnic as well, don't I? That's my favourite. I love picnics. As you see, here we go. So what are they going to do now? It looks like what are they doing? They're running. They're running down the street. Right, let's get back to the story. The first thing Pinocchio noticed was how brightly the sun shone. He blinked as he left the dark little cottage and walked into the sunshine. Whoa, it was so bright. Its dazzling beams felt warm against his skin. He quickly discovered that stepping along the long shadows of the buildings cooled him down a little bit. Have you guys done it? Sometimes when it's really hot and the sunshine, you can walk in the shadows because it's a bit cooler. Anyway, Pinocchio and Geppetto made a game of running in and out of the shadows all along the edge of the town. When Pinocchio jumped through the last shadow, he felt a strange sensation in his stomach. It was different from hunger. It was... Pinocchio's tummy flip-flopped, and a strange sound came out of his throat. "What is going on?" Pinocchio said. He started to be a little bit scared. "Don't worry," Geppetto said. "It's just your hiccups." "Hiccups?" said Pinocchio. "Will hiccups ever stop?" Geppetto showed Pinocchio how to hold his breath until the hiccups went away. You do that sometimes, is when you try and hold your breath like that, and sometimes the hiccups go away. Or you can drink some water. I can remember my mummy told me once that you had to stand on your head and drink some water upside down. I don't think that's a good idea. You get water everywhere. Okay, so let's get back to the story. Whoops, my microphone's falling off. Pinocchio wasn't sure he liked this new experience. He had been so busy thinking about how much fun it was being a real little boy, he hadn't stopped to think about the things that could go wrong. Oh yeah, look, you can see Pinocchio there holding his mouth. He's trying to hold his breath. He's hiccuping, isn't he? Right, let's turn the page and see what he's going to do next. Wow, they're walking down the street. Looks like they've come out to the village and there's a lake and a boat. Shall we read and see what's going to happen? Pinocchio grew silent as he followed Geppetto. His mind was filled of questions, but he wasn't sure how to ask many of them. At first, the sun's warmth felt nice, but now Pinocchio was hot and sweaty. His feet hurt and his stomach felt as empty as it had that morning before breakfast. Pinocchio finally asked the question he was most concerned about. "Are we there yet?" That's what he asked. Geppetto took Pinocchio's hand. "It's just over the hill," he said. The pair climbed higher until they saw a beautiful valley below them. That is the valley, isn't it? When you have like two hills and the bottom, it's called a valley. So there's Geppetto holding Pinocchio's hand, and they're going from the hill down into the valley. As we see here, look what's happening there. It looks like "Race you to the swimming hole," Geppetto said. Pinocchio nodded and ran off before Geppetto could get ready. Father and son ran down the hill and collapsed in a happy heap next to the lake's edge. So they were going down to the lake. "Time for food," Pinocchio cheered. Geppetto laughed and began unpacking the picnic hamper he had, the basket of food. Geppetto and Pinocchio spent the rest of the day at the swimming hole, playing in the water. They were fishing on the bank. As they played, Geppetto told Pinocchio stories of many times he had visited that lake when he was a little boy. Pinocchio felt much better now that he had eaten and rested a little. The cool water was refreshing after they had had that long walk through the village. It's nice, isn't it? I mean, when you guys go to the swimming pool, or when I used to come with you to Folkets Park and you used to go into the Plaska Dam there, and it was really hot and it was nice to get into the cool water, wasn't it? I think that's what Pinocchio and Geppetto did, and his daddy did there, didn't he? Okay, so where are we now then? As the sun began to set, that means when the sun goes down, Pinocchio noticed a new feeling. His eyelids felt very, very heavy, as though he couldn't barely keep his eyes open. And he began to yawn. "Oh, I'm tired," Pinocchio said, surprised at the realization. "Ah, you've had quite a day," Geppetto, his daddy, said. "Are you ready to go home now?" Pinocchio nodded. So they packed up their bag, didn't they? Look at he's yawning there. Oh, he's so tired. He's been swimming and playing in the water all day. Pinocchio nodded and Geppetto lifted him onto his shoulders and he carried Pinocchio towards their little house in the village. Sitting on Geppetto's back, Pinocchio started to look up, and there were so many stars. Far above them shined a wishing star. Twinkling brightly, Pinocchio realized that being a real little boy had more complicated than he had imagined. "Today was fun, Father," Pinocchio said, "but it was hard too." Geppetto nodded, thinking about what Pinocchio had said. That's what being alive is like. It's sunlight, the bacon, the hiccups, the scraped knees. Some of it will be scary, but I promise you'll be all right with them. That's true, isn't it? Sometimes life can be a bit scary and can have little bad parts, even when you're having fun. Like Pinocchio scratched his knee. I can remember, Liam, when you were at Leo's leg plats once, you burnt your elbow when you were going down the slide. Or Rosie, when you were little, I can remember you came to see me and you had a big bump on your head, you had fallen over. So sometimes when we're having fun, we can have things that aren't so much fun. But I think we have more times that are fun. Anyway, back to the story. Geppetto waited for Pinocchio to answer, but all he heard was a soft, soft sound of snoring. Pinocchio had fallen fast asleep. He must have been. That's all he heard. Geppetto laughed gently. Enough speeches. It's time to get him to bed, I think. So what have we got here? Oh, look, here's Pinocchio's in bed and his daddy Geppetto, he's carried him as gently as he could to bed. He fluffed each pillow and he drew the blankets close under Pinocchio's chin. "Good night, my boy," Geppetto said, leaning in to kiss Pinocchio on the forehead. "Today was a dream come true. I cannot wait to share another adventure with you tomorrow." Wow, I enjoyed that. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy it? Well, I hope so. So I think it really says is that we have lots and lots of fun times, but sometimes there's not such fun times and some things can happen, but we're always happy in the end. Okay, so that's that story finished, and we'll try and do another one soon. Okay, guys? Yaya loves you so, so much, and I'm always looking down on you. Okay? Bye-bye, sweet ones.